Live from the parking lot of Sprouts Farmers Market once again. And boy, does my hair look wild. Wild from the wild hair. Anyway, sorry, we're about a half hour late this morning, but
what must be done, must be done.
What must be done, must be done. Constance is getting ready to finance the stockholders of Sprouts. So we're always happy. It's better than P. Lorillard or Philip Morris. Okay.
Or Exxon.
Or Exxon, yes. Okay, and there she is, the beautiful.
Oh, good morning. It's Tuesday. I'm dressed as I grew up and born in Columbus, Nebraska, and I'm dressed in my 1959 Grandma Goes Shopping scarf this morning.
Boy, grandmas didn't look like
yes, they did. Well, they wore the scarves, sometimes beautiful ones, as babushkas. I mean, because it was the thing, and everybody. It wasn't anyway. It was the thing. It was the thing. Kept your ears warm. Kept your hair dry.
Suitable for taking the body of Christ.
I'm talking about warm because it's been chilly and the leaves are starting to fall a little. And I know you're all dying to know how I spent my cat babysitting money.
The cat babysitting?
This is really an esoteric subject. How did I spend my cat babysitting money? Cat and garden babysitting money. Well, I thought we'd get a fall autumnal equinoxes on Saturday, I believe, according to my Tibetan calendar, which has it in small print below the month. They live in a different universe, thank goodness, but there are beautiful pictures on it. Anyway, so I thought, and besides I can feel it, time to prepare for fall. And one way you can do that is to go to your grocery store and buy seasonal vegetables that are all orange, all the wonderful winter squashes and sweet potatoes and all the things that Lon hates. I hoard them.
Yum.
I hoard the squashes. Okay, I have a vice. I hoard winter squash. Anyway, with my babysitting, I bought a very macho dolly or hand cart that will hold a lot of weight. Let's put it that way.
It was the Rolls Royce of dollies.
It was just the most expensive one at the store we went to. It's not the
Bugatti.
It is not. He's lying. What does he know about dollies? It's just the one that was available to me, but it looks strong enough. And anyway, a nice man helped me because I didn't know what I was doing. And anyway, because I have heavy pots to lift and manure bags, you can use the smaller dollies, but this one. No.
So we got manure yesterday.
And I think about we got manure.
Happy anniversary.
No, I got the manure.
Happy birthday.
And manure. Did I not pay for this? Manure and some cement blocks and a giant dolly, and so I can move my pots around to a more sheltered spot more easily, hopefully.
And we got it all in the car.
Yeah, well, it's not in the car now.
No, but
don't show the car.
Our car got it home.
Yeah,
all that stuff.
Yeah, but yes. Anyway, because I need weights like manure bags and cement blocks, believe it or not, to hold down this plastic. Because I shouldn't, but I fear winter coming because we had 13 atmospheric rivers last year, and they were back to back, and they were very stressful and damaging to
your psyche,
my psychic, and my plants. So I have to prepare and not be so afraid because the Japanese embrace their seasons. I find that very difficult. Growing up in Southern California, which I hope to get back to.
One season.
No, we had spring and fall with touches of occasional touch of winter and summer. So I like that. I prefer that. But anyway, so I think I was just saying, start preparing for fall. It's a change in your psychic too, in your mental preparedness. And hopefully we have more time if we're prepared to do what we're supposed to be doing instead of worrying about what we should have been doing. So that's about all I have to say. Eat your orange vegetables.
Okay.
Stop buying squash.
Let's see.
There'll be more squash next month.
All right.
That's something to look forward to. Right, Lon?
Yes.
Oh, I'm wearing glasses because it makes me look smarter today.
Why don't you speak with a British accent, too, because that'll even...
Oh, he's going to talk about Captain Fuller.
Yes.
So read Treasure House of Images if you want to have ecstasy on all levels of your being.
Well, I'll try to give him a little shot of that.
Well, tell him about it, too. Explain why it's scientificness of all its numbers and all that stuff.
I'll do that.
It's very beautiful.
And so are you.
Thank you.
All right.
Prepare for fall.
Okay, I'm going to...
So you don't fall.
Let's see, can I turn this around?
Are they seeing the steering wheel again?
Are you still there? Is everyone, I still have a finish button on my, I think that means I'm still broadcasting. So, I think we're still on. Could somebody just, put a happy face or something on... oh, there we go. Yes, you're here. Oh, there's your mask, dear. Okay. It's a shame to cover...
Oh.
It's a shame to cover that...
Everyone looks younger in a mask, so it's not a shame.
Okay. Anyway, yes. I want to share a few things about Captain Fuller with you, because we often forget, okay, when we talk about Crowley and the modern manifestations of like the Ordo Templi Orientis, big organization with about 3,000 members or more all over the world, 5 grand lodges and things, that there was a time not long ago where the OTO and Crowley's AA were just ideas. First, they existed on paper. Then they grew as they grew. They grew large enough for people to argue which one was right. But there was a time when this wonderful AA program, which is sort of like the Golden Dawn Initiatory program, hybridized to better conform with the Aeon of Horus, which isn't a big switch. It's just a switch in self-identity from terrestrial to solar. But there was a time when it was just an idea in the minds of Crowley and George Cecil Jones. And it's a good idea. So each of the degrees, as you move through the degrees, is represented as if it were a consciousness expansion as a climb up the tree of life. I mean, 10 major degrees and things like that. And while the Golden Dawn is a beautiful, beautiful, wonderful, dramatic experience that represents that climb, it doesn't necessarily demand that the initiate is actually fully achieving those levels of consciousness that that degree represents. But in a way, it sets the stage. It erects a scaffolding in your mind that as you do actually progress, it makes sense to you. But George Cecil Jones and Crowley said, you know, let's just set something up that's really subtle and really, really serious. And that if a person claims that degree, they're actually working from that level of consciousness. And it was a great idea. But it was only on paper. It's only on paper for quite a long time. And because Crowley was published and could publish stuff, he shared that idea with the world. So it seemed like that invisible college actually was existing. But it would exist. It would manifest. And the very first person, as far as I know, because I wasn't there at the time, the very first person to say, yeah, I want to join that, was Captain Fuller. He was captain at the time. CFC Fuller. And I want to talk just a little bit about Fuller and the document that he wrote called The Treasure House of Images. And we could go months and months and months just talking about the Treasure House of Images, but Crowley was very, very impressed with this. Not only that, but Fuller and this new AA was responsible for publishing the Volume 1, which is in 10 numbers, published every equinox for 5 years. Fuller was the editor. Not only that, but he contributed lots of stuff to it. And so Fuller was a superstar, but he also had a life, and it was a very interesting life. He was a big-time warrior. Now, and I don't know where to start, but I'm going to start with the foreword that I wrote to Aleister Crowley's, because I don't have this edition in paperback, so I brought my Kindle, Treasure House of Images. This is published by New Falcon. This is like a 2000 year 2000 edition. And here's what I have to say. Oh, there's a nice picture of Fuller. Let's see, that was taken in 1919. He looks so Gilbert and Sullivan. And as a matter of fact, he was a major general when he retired. Okay, here's my foreword to this new edition. Quote, there's 2 epigraphs. It has taken 100,000 years to produce Aleister Crowley. The world has indeed labored and has at last brought forth a man. Captain J.F.C. Fuller. And this is a poem by Crowley called The Convert, 100 years hence. Well, it's already 100 years hence. There met one eve in a sylvan glade a horrible man and a beautiful maid. Where are you going so meek and holy? I'm going to temple to worship Crowley. Crowley is God, then? How did you know? Why, it's Captain Fuller told us so. And how do you know that Fuller was right? I'm afraid you're a wicked man. Good night. Well, this sort of thing is styled success. I shall not count failure bitterness. That's Crowley's little poem. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Aleister Crowley's Treasure House of Images is the title of this little book. But a quick glance at its contents might cause the reader to prematurely conclude there is precious little Aleister Crowley in it. Indeed, where the actual text of the Treasure House of Images is concerned, only the note upon Liber 963 that immediately follows the title can be rightly attributed to Crowley's pen. And even that we can't say was Crowley's pen, because that comment is in Class A. And I'm going to read that comment later. I grant you it's important to note, so important, in fact, that he classified that note as an AA publication in Class A and pronounced it among the works which may be changed not so much in style of a letter. That is, they represented the utterance of an adept entirely beyond criticism of even the visible head of the organization. The fact remains, however, Aleister Crowley's Treasure House of Images, or this particular book, itself is an utterance not of the prophet, but of the prophet's herald. The first disciple to formally subscribe to Crowley's program of scientific illumination, and arguably, for a number of years, his most enthusiastic supporter. John Frederick Charles Fuller, 1878 to 1966, was an infantry officer of the Indian Army, later to become Major General Fuller, CB, CBE, DSO. And I talk like I understand what those initials mean. An expert on tank warfare. And remember when he's writing this, there weren't many tanks, okay? Tanks wasn't a big thing. Tanks weren't the cavalry in those days. He made it so. An expert on tank warfare, Fuller's military writings would, in his long and distinguished career, earn him the respect of friends and enemies alike. In 1939, Fuller received an awkward distinction of being one of the only 2 Englishmen invited by Adolf Hitler to the celebration of the German dictator's 50th birthday. He declined. Although he was, as many of the military and sort of snooty British power structure people were in those days, he was a bit of a conservative fascist himself. And for a while, England had a thriving fascist party that, while it wasn't particularly in league with Mussolini or Hitler, it was terribly imperialistic and conservative. And Fuller was right in there. So, but I digress. He was still a brilliant guy. Okay, Fuller and Crowley first came together in the most spectacular fashion. In 1907, when the third and final volume of the collected works of Aleister Crowley appeared, Crowley advertised a promotional competition. Here's how he, on the flyers, it said, "The chance of the year, the chance of the century, the chance of the geologic period." He offered a prize of £100 for the best critical essay on his writings. I should do that. Fuller entered the contest and was the prize winner with his 327-page essay, "The Star in the West." Still published, and I think you can still get it. It's unclear whether Fuller ever actually received the $100. I don't think he ever did. But it was the beginning of what would become, for a few golden years, a beautiful friendship. I'm about ready to sneeze, everyone. So, excuse me if all of a sudden the lens snots up. Not everyone agrees that Aleister Crowley was a holy prophet or logos of the aeon. However, few knowledgeable critics would deny that he possessed sufficient second sight to foretell the specter of future cults of personality that would inevitably form around his name. His work, most ironically, his character, swirled around his name and characters. Not that he was particularly opposed to the idea of a little guru worship during his lifetime, but only in the context of the disciplinary relationship necessary for those who voluntarily enlisted in any program of personally supervised spiritual development. So, I can say that, for a number of years, I was formally mentored by Phyllis Seckler for a while. But I can't say, and she was my teacher. But I didn't worship her. Okay. And when it came right down to it, there was a time that I also didn't obey. For his personal students, there was indeed a heavy element of obey me in the Great Beasts program. However, in matters concerning his doctrines, his philosophy, his magic, and his, if we dare use the word, religion, his uncompromising admonition was firmly consistent and unambiguous. Don't believe me. Crowley hated the idea of true believers, yet at the same time, he was utterly flabbergasted that any moderately intelligent person would not immediately see the brilliance of his message. Sadly, there would be few in his lifetime that would be able to see beyond the blinding glare of certain colorful aspect of the messenger's outrageous character. This fact, more than any other, is perhaps the most tragic aspect of the life of this remarkable man. I'm talking about Crowley there. Fuller, on the other hand, was anything but outrageous. But for a time, he was the rarest combination of true believer and independent thinker. His admiration for Crowley's poetry, magic, philosophy, and personality transcended that of the fanatic or hero worshiper, precisely the kind of reaction Crowley naively expected from everyone who came in contact with his work. Indeed, it's clear to me that even before their relationship began, Fuller was already a fuel-packed tinderbox of creativity, just waiting for a catalyst, an ignition spark of sufficient heat to detonate his soul into a raging sun. Aleister Crowley would be that spark. The mystic can argue, if mystics actually spend their time arguing, that Fuller's Dharma was such that any number of catalytic events could have served to light that fuse to the young captain's Roman candle. Perhaps this is so, but there is an additional factor in this equation that renders that argument an intangible yet vital manifestation of divine spirit that cannot be comprehended by the machinery of our meat brains or adequately discussed with our words and images. A goddess whose presence or absence spells life or death to the artist. I am, of course, speaking about that most personal and elusive of deities, known by her most genetic term, Muse. For a sacred season, these two remarkable men simultaneously functioned as each other's muse. Such events are not without precedence in mythological tradition. After all, John the Baptist said of Jesus, "Behold the Lamb of God," and Jesus replied and repaid the compliment by telling the world, "Verily I say unto you, among them that are born of woman, hath not arisen a greater than John the Baptist." As a live microphone placed too near a live amplifier will feed back a loop, ever-increasing sound volume, so too the muse of Crowley fed and amplified the genius of Fuller, and the muse of Fuller fed and amplified the genius of Crowley. The feedback that was created resulted in one of the most spiritually productive periods in each man's life, and a body of work unparalleled in beauty and profundity. Fuller's study of Crowley, in which he boldly coined the term Crowleyanity, was an unabashed and undiluted love song to all things Crowley. In the years to follow, Fuller would continue to reward his idol with literary labors that filled the pages of Crowley's periodical, The Equinox. And foremost among these was the Treasure House of Images. Crowley in turn rewarded Fuller by dedicating in gushing verse an entire collection of poems. Indeed, it's a book that thick, called The Winged Beetle, and he dedicated it to the young captain. So I'm not going to read that dedication, because I want to talk just a little bit about the Treasure House of Images. We often are confronted with the question, especially among people who are diligently studying the magical literature, rituals, and concepts of modern magic. But what exactly do you do with all of this stuff? There's Crowley's 13 holy books, which were inspired documents. Crowley doesn't even claim that he wrote them. They were sort of channeled, come from another dimension. And not that Fuller's Treasure House of Images was something like that. It seems like the depth of his poetic genius, whatever the source of that was, could be indicated that. But I'm going to read what our dear late friend and a thelemic hero, par excellence, David Cherubin, a brilliant guy, kind of a tragic figure, but aren't we all? Wonderful magician, wonderful musician, and a great lover of Crowley, truly in my mind, a significant modern Thelemite. Here's what he wrote in his introduction to Treasure House of Images. The Treasure House of Images is a priceless work of precious prose. It contains 13 chapters of exquisite hymns to the 12 signs of the zodiac and the sun. Each chapter of hymns contains 13 sections. Each of these 13 sections has the same number of syllables. Moreover, in each section, one zodiac sign is modified by another sign. Now, that was a very concise way to put something that is not immediately understandable unless you explain it a little bit further. So there's 13 sections of each, 13 little verses of each of, well, at first, let's say 13 chapters, one for each sign of the zodiac. So starting with Aries, okay, the Aries chapter, and I'll go ahead and read the Aries chapter later. Verse number 1 refers to, or is in reference to, or is descriptive of, or embodies the essence of Aries. And the second verse would be Taurus. And the third would be that of Gemini, and then Cancer, and then Leo. Okay, all within the context of how that manifests in Aries. So Aries of Aries, Taurus of Aries, Gemini of Aries, Cancer of Aries, Leo of Aries. You see where I'm going? So starting with Taurus, the first verse would be Taurus, and the second verse would be continue through the zodiac. Taurus, Gemini, Cancer. Okay. And put Aries at the very end. Okay, do you see how? So David describes that as, let's see, each of the 13 sections has the same number of syllables. Moreover, each section of one zodiac sign is modified by another. So, Crowley writes a Class A note to be included with the publication of Treasure House of Images. Class A, there's 7 little lines. Note on Liber 963. Let the student recite this book, particularly the 169 adorations, unto his star as it ariseth. Now, what that star is, Crowley seemed to take it as what was ascending at your birth. But I digress. Sorry, this is Class A. I shouldn't even say anything. Let the student recite this book, particularly the 169 adorations, unto his star as it ariseth. Let him seek out diligently in the sky his star. Let him travel thereunto in his shell. Let him adore it unceasingly from its rising even unto its setting by the right adorations, with chants that shall be harmonious therewith. Let him rock himself to and fro in adoration. Let him spin around his own axis in adoration. Let him leap up and down in adoration. Let him inflame himself in the adoration, speeding from slow to fast until he can no more. This also shall be sung in open places, as heaths, mountains, woods, and by streams and upon islands. Moreover, he shall build you fortified places in great cities. Moreover, ye shall build you fortified places in great cities. Caverns and tombs shall be made glad with your praise. Amen. Wow. In other words, talk about inflaming yourself with prayer. Now, I don't know how much time we have left, or if anybody even wants me to do this, but as we may not pick this up tomorrow, this is that chapter known as 169 Cries of Adoration and the Unity thereof. And the other sections, let's see where I'm at. The other sections have the zodiac sign, or the sun, or several kind of moon things. This is just a black hexagram there. I adore thee by the 169 cries of adoration, and by the unity thereof. O thou dragon prince of the air, that art drunk on the blood of the sunsets, I adore thee, Evoe, I adore thee, Iao. O thou unicorn of the storm, that art crested above the purple air, I adore thee, Evoe, I adore thee, Iao. O thou burning sword of passion, that art tempered on the anvil of flesh, I adore thee, Evoe, I adore thee, Iao. O thou slimy lust of the grave, art thou that art tangled in the roots of the tree, I adore thee, Evoe, I adore thee, Iao. O thou smoke-shrouded sword of flame, that art unsheathed in the bowels of the earth, I adore thee, Evoe, I adore thee, Iao. O thou scented grove of wild vines, that are trampled by the white feet of love, I adore thee, Evoe, I adore thee, Iao. O thou fragrance of sweet flowers, that art wafted over blue fields of air, I adore thee, Evoe, I adore thee, Iao. O thou mighty bastion of faith, that withstandeth all breaches of doubt, I adore thee, Evoe, I adore thee, Iao. O thou silver horn of moon, that gorest the red flank of the morning, I adore thee, Evoe, I adore thee, Iao. O thou grey glory of twilight, that art the hermaphroditic triumph, I adore thee, Evoe, I adore thee, Iao. O thou thirsty mouth of the wind, that art maddened by the foam of the sea, I adore thee, Evoe, I adore thee, Iao. Okay, that's the first 29 of those. There are 169 of those. And Crowley says to memorize your own rising sign one, so mine would be Aries. But he also says do that until you go just absolutely ape shit crazy. Okay. And you can really see the ecstatic build and the beauty of his pacing and the imagery of his words are just awesome. They're supernaturally awesome. And they're all found in the Treasure House of Images. And it's been published under various titles. The newest one that contains other essays by me, David Cherubim, Nancy Wasserman, in the newest 2000 edition of the New Falcon edition. But you can find it anywhere. Start by finding the one of your own ascendant and read through it. And my ascendant is Aries, so I'm kind of lucky because I get to see them in order. And just to give you an example of what I mean, let's see for Aries here. So the first verse of Aries would be the Aries verse of the Aries chapter, and it's called the 12 Affirmations. And each of these lines, I think, has 49, 49 syllables. I've counted, they don't all exactly. But the first few here do it. Aries of Aries. O thou snow-clad Vulcan of scarlet fire, thou flame-crested pillar of fury, yea, as I approach thee, thou departest from me like unto the wisp of smoke blown forth from the window of my house. Second verse would be Taurus. O thou summer land of eternal joy, thou rapturous garden of flowers, yea, as I gather thee, my harvest is but a drop of dew shimmering in the golden cup of a crocus. The Gemini one. O thou throbbing music of life and death, thou rhythmic harmony of the world, yea, as I listen to the echo of thy voice, my rapture is but as the whisper of the wings of a butterfly. Okay. Some of them are more obvious than others, and some of them actually use the buzzwords associated with that zodiac sign and the planetary rulership thereof. It's brilliant. It's genius. It's more than genius. It's magical genius. And if you've got a copy of the Treasure House of Images in your house, you do indeed have a treasure. And your house is a treasure house if you choose to use it. Anyway, I've gone on and on and on, and you got to get on with your day. Happy Monday, everyone. And I hope you're enjoying I guess it's still Rosh Hashanah for a while. Anyway, until tomorrow, continue to be good to yourself, be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will.